Michigan goes to East Lansing and blows it. Sparty comes charging back, wins 37-33. And I will say this, the atmosphere in East Lansing looked awesome. I mean, that place was rocking. Michigan got out to a great start, right? Wolverines turned a pair of early interceptions by Peyton Thorne into points, including Andrell Anthony, 93-yard touchdown catch and run. He got the Gus Johnson treatment. Andrell Anthony. It was great. I mean, it was great. That dude was moving, by the way. But then this game went back and forth in the second and third quarters. It was really fun to watch, and some big time runs from Kenneth Walker III. And let's be real, Michigan State got really, really lucky that they called Peyton Thorne down on that sack strip that would have been a touchdown for Michigan before the half. I don't know how the hell you overturned that call. If it would have happened against OU, you would have jumped out of the radio booth and strangled the referee, Ted. But hey, sometimes you get a break, right? But
yep.
It seemed like Michigan had control in the third quarter, but man, you got to give Michigan State credit. You got to give Mel Tucker credit. That team fights, man, and they completely outplayed Michigan in the fourth quarter. There was a long touchdown run by Walker. J.J. McCarthy, who I don't know why he kept coming in the game. He just kept coming and messing things up, but Jim Harbaugh was like, I'm the smartest man alive. I'm going to put this freshman in this situation so he can mess it up, and that's exactly what he did. Gave Michigan State a gift on the fumbled handoff that turned into another Kenneth Walker III touchdown, and they end up sealing it with the interception there at the end. But man, Ted, that was a fun football game to watch. I never don't enjoy watching Harbaugh's reaction when it kind of starts to fall apart for him, but it's just a good win for Michigan State. I know I feel like maybe I'm making some excuses for Michigan, but Michigan State won the game. They won the game, and that's a big win.
It's a huge win. Mel Tucker done a fantastic job there. And you're right. That atmosphere there at East Lansing, it's one of the things that's great about college football. Whenever a team is down for an extended period and then they just burst back onto the scene in a massive way, and you get that energy in the fan base, and everyone jumps on, gets on board, and it's so special and so fun. And that's how special seasons are made, man. Whenever teams like that, all of a sudden it's like, dang, we're 8-0, we got a shot, and everyone like digs in for the final stretch run of the season. That's awesome. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, it was a really fun game. But if you're a Michigan fan, man, before the game, and we previewed it, and we were talking about, okay, it'll come down to who can run the football, all these things. If you would have told me that Michigan was going to throw for 406 yards and lose,
it's nuts.
I would have been stunned. But hey, I will say this: Kenneth Walker III might have just sealed. I don't know if the invite's quite in hand
what were
already.
His finals number? How many yards do you have?
I think he was just under 200.
Woo.
With, I believe, 5 touchdowns.
That'll do it.
I mean, he had a day. By the way, like, you know me, when I'm watching college football and I'm looking at running backs, looking at the back half, solid posterior chain on that guy. He looks, I'll just leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. Okay, I got it pulled up. 197 for 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, that'll do it. We'll see you in New York City.
Yeah, congrats. KW3. Awesome nickname. Okay, Ole Miss went to Auburn and kind of got smacked around, man. Auburn wins 31-20. And Ted, I don't know what else to say other than I think Bo Nix is good now. Like,
What happened?
I mean, he's looking like Johnny Manziel out there at times, just like Houdini getting out of everything, just running around, making plays, throwing it well, throwing it with velocity, like stepping into it. He looks confident back there, running it really well. Now, Matt Corral did hurt his ankle, and I think it was his other ankle. So now he's got 2 hurt ankles, but
Beat up, man.
it looked bad. But all of a sudden he was back out there. I don't know what they gave him, but he must have been on the good stuff because he was running around. He was slinging it. He was fun to watch still, but to me, it just looked like Ole Miss's offense couldn't find their rhythm. And
scrimmage.
You got to give Auburn credit for that. And that Auburn defense, man, they are physical.
Mm-hmm.
But Corral's down a couple of those receivers, missing some really good playmakers there out wide. But man, when plays needed to be made, Auburn's defense made them, especially on some of those 4th downs that Ole Miss went for. Now, Auburn's offense didn't do much in the second half at all, but they didn't have to. And Auburn's defense made Corral pay for that bad mistake. They're throwing it in the end zone, cross his body, cardinal sin of quarterbacking. Auburn took care of business, man. And all of a sudden, like, you look at the talent they have, Ted, and you're like, how frisky are the Tigers?
Yeah, they look pretty good now. Their running game is stout. Tank Bixby had another really nice game. Ole Miss had a couple of opportunities late and just couldn't get anything going. Had a bad fumble in there as well. I never would have thought that you could have convinced me that Auburn would win the game, but I wouldn't think that Bo Nix would outplay Matt Corral, and he did. He was more efficient as a passer. He was effective as a runner with 2 rushing touchdowns. He looked really good, man. He slowly but surely he has started to get rid of, like, he's always had some big flash, but he's become more efficient of a passer, and he's still got that toughness to him, man. He can run the football, and he's a big dude, 6'3", physical. So kudos, good job by Auburn. They're for real.
Yeah,
what are they, 6-2 now?
Yeah, and they had the orange face mask going. Looks pretty good. I kind of liked it, like a metallic orange. But yeah, Bo Nix, 22 of 30, 276, a touchdown, 30 yards rushing with 2 rushing touchdowns. Have a day. Have a day, Bo. And also, as Matt Corral threw the interception in the end zone, in the back of my head, I was going, Caleb Williams for Heisman? Hey, Corral, he has not played. He didn't play particularly well against Bama, and he was not great. And I know he's banged up as hell, and God knows what drugs he was on to get back on the field after that ankle bent the way it did. But he's not going to win the Heisman Trophy. There's no way. After losing those 2 games, there's no way he can't win it.
K-Dub, C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young.
Kenneth Walker III there at Michigan State if they keep rolling. Or I guess did you call him K-Dub? Is that?
Yeah.
Dude, look, I didn't know you guys were that close.
Yeah. You like that?
K-Dub 3.
Can
K-Dub
an entire
Trace.
defense win a Heisman Trophy? Can they just award it to the Georgia defense?
Kayvon Thibodeau pretty good too.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying.
We're not even talking about Oregon being in the mix, and maybe they don't deserve to be, but they still got a really nice win. It's
the best win in the country.
It's wild. It's going to be a fantastic finish to the college football season.
It's going to be awesome. All right. Speaking of fantastic finishes, I suppose it depends on who you're a fan of or not. I don't know how many Texas fans listen to this podcast. I hope a lot, guys. Welcome. Texas goes to Waco and blows a double-digit second half lead. Where have you heard that? Man, Ted, being a Texas fan has to be exhausting, dude. Like, it's got to be, because the game couldn't have started better for the Longhorns, right? They pick off Gary Bohannon, turn it into a touchdown. Now, I will say, after that, Baylor, they did some good things offensively. They've ripped off some explosive runs with Abram Smith just gashing Texas. But It was a back and forth football game in the first half, but Texas goes on a 14-play drive out of the half, and Bijan scores, and they take a double-digit lead. They're in the third quarter, up 21-10. Felt like they had all the momentum, and they were outscored 21-3 the rest of the way. And I thought, I did think when you watched the game, like I thought it came down to what happened on third and fourth downs, right? Baylor converted in those situations. Texas did not. But I do not know what the hell that fake punt from Texas was. Why they thought
Is that one of those where the punter decides it on his own that he's going to take off running with it?
That's what it looked like, but it literally looked like they ran punter power, like into traffic. Like, all right, it was like they needed 2 yards or a yard. I think it was like 4th and 11.
Yeah, it was bad.
What the hell
was watching
that?
it out of the corner of my eye from the radio booth. Like, what are they doing? It's brutal.
It's just a horrible decision. Whether it was the punter's fault, but if the coaches gave him. I don't know, man. It's just bad ball. But, Baylor ends up turning that into a touchdown. And I did think Baylor got a little conservative. Texas had the ball with the chance to go tie the game, or if they wanted to go score and go for 2, go win the game. And they didn't gain a yard on offense. So, it's a good win for Baylor. And shout out to that Baylor defense, man. I'm telling you, Jalen Petrie, right now, after watching this game and watch him fly around and go straight kamikaze over Bijan Robinson to sack Casey Thompson, he is my Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year right now.
He's nuts. He plays at one speed at all times. He never shuffles his feet to slow down and gather himself. It is wide open at all times, and it's awesome to watch. He's great. And, there was a couple of matchups in this game. Bohannon versus Thompson was pretty tight. Thompson threw for more, had a better
Bohannon's
percentage.
interceptions were horrible, bro.
Yep. Especially that first one. But the running game, Bijan Robinson got nothing. 17 for 43. Abram Smith, don't look now, but Abram Smith's one of the better backs in the Big 12. He's got the same amount of touchdowns as Bijan. Doesn't have nearly as many carries, but he's averaging more per carry. He's going to be up around the 900 yards mark right now. He is a really good back.
And they specialize in one play. Outside zone, God's play, the best running play in all of football. Now, they did do some pinball toss stuff in this game that just gashed Texas, but it was simple. I went back and watched every play of this game because I was like, okay, I got to talk about it on, my Big 12 show. And I was like, okay, what happened at the line of scrimmage? Baylor's defensive front, Apu Ika, big dude. Like 350 in the middle, Franklin it in. They whooped Texas's offensive line's ass for the majority of this game. I think their defense is a little better than I've been giving them credit for.
Yeah.
And Terrell Bernard's back flying around. Petrie, I don't know. He might be the best player in the conference, man. Like, he is playing at an extremely high level.
And
that's
an
impressive win.
Yeah, I like Bernard and Doyle too. I think they're 2 really good players.
Do you love the fact? First of all, Doyle plays fullback for him also, and they'll throw it to him. He caught a couple touchdowns the other week. It was pretty fun. And Abram Smith played linebacker for him last year, and they flipped him over in the spring. He was the linebacker last season.
Wow, I didn't even put that together. That's crazy.
They're like, hey, you know what?
He came in whenever when they lost Bernard last year.
Well, no, it was the spring when they hired Grimes, and they're like, hey, we think you'd be really good at running back in the outside zone system. And then he was like, all right, sounds good. And oh my gosh, yeah, nailed that one, Aranda. Good call.
Nice. Wow.
Look at you, Dave Aranda. Texas, last thing on this game. They had, you talk about missed opportunities. They pick off Bohannon before the half. Thompson throws. It's a little high, goes off Josh Moore's hands. Pick, end up getting no points from that. And then, man, Xavier Worthy is running, and the DB falls down, Ted. Falls to the ground. And Xavier Worthy is wide open, and Casey Thompson throws it out of bounds. Leads him out of bounds. He is like, the DB is on the ground 10 yards behind him. And the ball, I was just one of those. If you're a Texas fan, you just have to feel like you're cursed. I picked Texas to win this game, and I feel like I'm cursed.
They're cursed. I agree. That's one thing I can definitely agree on right there. And they've earned it.
Yeah. All right, last game. Penn State goes to Ohio State and plays them closer than we thought. Ohio State ends up winning 34-24. And I guess Penn State's just a better team when they play against Ohio State, or maybe Ohio State got what they deserved for wearing all red. What the hell was that?
I don't know why they mess with.
It hurt my eyes.
It's too much. They look like Indiana or something. There's just no reason.
They look like
the
Bucks on Color Rush night.
Yeah, there's no reason to do that. They've got a beautiful uniform. Don't screw with it.
Yeah, I was a little confused at that decision, but I will give Penn State some credit, and it was 33-24, not 34-24. Sorry, but Ohio State's defense, it did a really good job against Penn State's run game, or lack thereof, whatever you want to say about it. But the Buckeyes, they did give up quite a few explosives in the pass game to Sean Clifford and that passing attack. But then they kind of made up for that by getting takeaways, right? They end up getting the scoop and score before the half. Big fella ran. I thought he was going to run out of gas. Did. Cruised in the end zone. Love seeing a fat man TD. But they forced Clifford into the interception in the fourth quarter and got pressure on him, made him uncomfortable. But this game did not go the way I thought it was going to go. It went close, or it was close. It was back and forth. Travion Henderson is that dude. I mean, everyone can acknowledge that, especially with what he did in the second half. But Ohio State did not dominate this game the way that I thought they would, Ted. And I think it has everything to do with how much they struggled in the red zone. I mean, 1 touchdown in 6 red zone trips for CJ Stroud and that offense, man, that's clearly something that Ryan Day is going to look at and goes, guys, we got to be way better. I mean, they probably should have scored at least maybe almost 50 if they just would have been more efficient in the red zone.
Yeah. Yeah, give Penn State some credit. I left them for dead with all the distractions that they had going on, and I knew Clifford was back, but wasn't sure how much they were going to get out of him. But it was a pretty good effort by them. I thought their defense played pretty well. I was expecting a little bit more as well out of Ohio State's offense. And, yeah, I don't know. When you get down to the red zone, if you can't run the football very well, it's usually going to turn into some bigger problems for you. And for whatever reason down there, they were behind all game. I don't know. It doesn't really change my opinion of Ohio State. I still think that's a good win. To not play your best and beat a team like Ohio State, you got to be a pretty good squad to do that. So, or beat Penn State rather. So, not the performance I expected, but I wouldn't say it's a red flag.
Yeah, I'd say it's a fine win, right? It's a fine win. Penn State, they're just better when they play Ohio State, apparently. All right, let's